Hello everyone and welcome to session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randie Henderson and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
I'd like to welcome everyone to, this is meeting 17 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. This is our final chapter, almost our final chapter of our reading of Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present by Harriet A. Washington. And tonight our chapter is 15, Aberrant Wars, American Bioterrorism Targets Blacks. Yes. I'd like to remind if we have any viewers, they can watch us on the links or they can catch up later on Google Plus or YouTube, Facebook. Our sessions run until June 18th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Let's introduce all our members here tonight. Let's start with Randie.
Hello, my name is Randie, and I am watching from Atlanta, and we'll be telling everybody what book will be chosen for the next session at the end of this session.
All right, thank you, Randie. And Edwina?
Hi, my name is Edwina. I'm watching you from Utah.
All right, thank you, Edwina. All right, and Venita?
Hi, my name is Venita Walker, and I'm joining you from Connecticut. Welcome.
Thank you. And Michelle?
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Michelle Odom, and I'm located in Brooklyn, New York.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, I see we have Joel Jones has joined our discussion. Joel, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Joel Jones. I'm calling you from, I'm on assignment in Virginia, IA, doing a little marketing for my little festivities I got coming up, but I'm from Charleston, South Carolina.
And I'm Georgette Moses. I'm your moderator from this evening, and I'm located in the South at the beach. And that's all I'm going to say. All right.
In this final chapter, Washington presents us with more examples of covert forces and government organizations targeting blacks for use as human guinea pigs and extermination. Since the 1940s, chemical and biological weapons have been developed for specific use against ethnic groups in a U.S.-mediated bioterrorism perpetrated by American scientists at home and abroad. White supremacy groups from Arkansas to Rhodesia had access to these poisons, chemicals, and biological weapons as they expressed their murderous ethnic hatred. The joint U.S. Army-CIA project, MK-NAOMI, and South Africa's Project Coast facilitated the current use of refined, weaponized biological and chemical agents by South Africa, the Soviet Union, Israel, and Iraq. Despite the 1963 Geneva Convention ban, More benign weapons exist, like the mother of all stink bombs used by the London police, that are genetically tailored to specific ethnic groups. However, such precision may not always be necessary if existing variations in genetics, lifestyle, habits, health profile, and diet are effectively exploited.
Bioterrorism. Can I get Edwina? Would you read that for me, please? And the questions?
Yes, ma'am. Viral terrorism, living weapons. Viral terrorism uses chemical and biological agents such as microbes. Viral terrorism uses chemical and biological agents such as microbes and poisons in the service of terrorism, which Washington defines as a threat or use of violence by an individual or organization that targets innocent civilians. The United States and Great Britain trained South African military forces in chemical and biological weapons, CBW, during World War II. However, post-war research and development included agricultural programs to create weaponized agents such as wheat rust, rice blast, rye blast, foot and mouth, and is that rhyme pest against
Render pest, I guess.
render pest against plants and animals. Protein, the hard word persillosis, and
That's close.
and
Whatever you want to say.
Psychosis were developed for use against humans. The Floyd and Agent Orange used during during the Vietnam War causes serious health problems, including cancer, genetic damage, and birth defects. South Africa and anthrax in Zambia,
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe in the 1970s. The Soviets and the glanders and infectious horse disease in Afghanistan in the 1980s. The question is, do you know who has been exposed to a CBW directly or indirectly? Were they aware of what happened and why? Four, do countries continue to disregard the Geneva Convention CBW ban? What could be done? Anybody is welcome to answer that question as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Thank you, Edwina.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll answer both of them.
Okay.
Okay, I do know somebody who has been exposed. I talked about this last time, not during World War II, but during Vietnam. My grandfather got prostate cancer, and the government ended up paying for for them to freeze it and remove it, I think, because they were, they were testing some type of something out there and didn't tell any of the boys, and his friends had started dying of it, and he got sick because of it, and I don't know how he ended up letting somebody know, or maybe they reached out to him. You know how they do those commercials, if you were or a loved one was harmed by so-and-so product. So I think maybe he found out that's what happened, but he got it completely paid for, but I don't think he was aware of it when it happened. And I think that countries disregard the Geneva Convention ban because there's no, or to my knowledge, like real way to enforce it. And this goes back to my scandal thing when I don't know if y'all watch it, but the vice president wasn't going to vote on the bill because she was like, "There, how are we going to enforce this? Like, this is a lot of great ideas, but how are we really going to get people to follow this plan? And how do you get all these countries who can find ways around, CBWs like agriculture to keep from using it? You can just, it's just rice, or it's just dirt or wheat. Like, how can you really enforce that? And how do you make sure people and countries as a whole listen, including the small ones that we don't hear about mainstream? But those are my answers.
Okay. Thank you, Randie.
I think with this ISIS crisis now, and the war against the establishment of Islamic states now, the Europeans and maybe even the Asians, the Chinese countries now, I understand they're building up their arms, their nuclear weapons and their arms now. But with the ISIS crisis going on in the Islamic countries, I understand that they are ignoring the Geneva Convention CBW because I believe at one point, maybe about 6 months ago, Syria, the country, Syria, released some type of chemical warfare on their people.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's correct. So I just want to say that after I wrote this question, I did go back and look to see if anything had been done after the Geneva Convention. And did anybody know that they had another treaty signed in 1972 called the Biologic and Toxic Weapons Convention? And supposedly it has 196 parties. And most of the states they call them state parties, but they're countries and whatever. They've ratified it, and it's supposed to, whereas the Geneva Convention bans the use of these weapons, this new treaty banned the development, stockpile, and production of it. So, unfortunately, Israel hadn't signed it, and Syria and Egypt signed it, but they don't want to abide by it. So I'm glad you brought up Syria, Edwina. So that's just a side note of information in there. So there is some legislation, some lip service to people trying to control these weaponized products or products that can be weaponized. And just like Randie, you were saying, they're common. What is it? Castor beans can be turned into ricin, and something else. A guy was arrested for selling on the underground internet last year ablin, which is derived from something called a prayer pea, which is common, but it's toxic, and you can die with it's fatal, and symptoms are a severe flu. So you wouldn't know that that's what you died from unless asked for. And and people they're selling this stuff on the black market internet. So I don't know. I don't know what could be done. So it appears they're trying to do something, but
yeah.
In other words, we need to be, other countries now that we're at war with, or that we have some sort of disagreement with, we we need to be aware of chemical warfare more than nuclear warfare, if anything else.
Yeah. So I don't really know anyone that's been exposed directly, except Joel. And I've been hoping he was going to come back for this piece because he did. I think he said he received the anthrax shot several times, but I don't know if he was actually exposed to anthrax. So maybe he'll come back.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Can ask him about that. Yeah. So, but I would say that the reason countries continue to disregard the convention is because there are no consequences. And one of the things that Harriet Washington, I think highlights in virtually all of the chapters is that the various individuals and governments that have perpetuated all of these dastardly deeds, they don't get punished ever. And I think when we get toward the end and talk about South Africa, that's one of the more dramatic examples. But where there was no punishment. But if there is no punishment, then there's no real incentive to not do harmful things if you're inclined to do harmful things. And a lot of people are. And and I'm sure a lot of people think it's naive or unrealistic, but but Harriet is an ethicist. But I agree with her completely that if we don't figure out a way to insist upon an ethical culture, then then we're all just subject to be
I'm sorry.
of whatever. And so, it's everything. It's everything. And so when people are not held accountable, then it eats away at so many things, our ability to trust, our safety. So if you think about the stories that you hear about preachers knocking up little girls and all of that madness that goes on, and and we laugh about it and we talk about it and gossip about it, but seldom do you hear and then he got put out of the church, or then he got stripped of his authority. He's right back up there in the pulpit on Sunday morning. And, so that kind of thing goes on. And then we learn not to trust the preacher, or we have these whistleblowers in government, but instead of the community raising them up as heroes and protecting them and making sure that they're safe, they've got to run for their life.
Yes.
Because nobody's got their back.
Time, Michelle.
Okay. But, I mean, ethics matter, and I think that's one of the key points that I think Harriet's trying to make in this book.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Joelle is back with us now.
Oh, I'm trying to get
back?
myself together. Yes, I'm back.
Okay, well, if you wanted to answer question 3 of part B about do you know anyone who has been exposed to a chemical biological weapon directly or indirectly?
Oh, yeah. My father, eventually, he died from Agent Orange. My uncle, he was, I think my father was 56, 57, 58, something like that. My uncle Johnny, he was a Vietnam veteran as well. He was exposed to Agent Orange. He had MS-like symptoms. He finally succumbed at the age of 50 back in the year 2000. My daddy died about 2002. My uncle Lewis, he was Air Force. He was exposed to Agent Orange, and he finally succumbed to his diseases at the age of 54, which included, alcoholism. But a lot of people don't understand that Agent Orange, it attacks so many different systems, enlarged heart, your skin, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, different types of cancers and stuff like that. So yeah, it has affected my family. Then one of my cousins, he was conceived after one of my uncles had Agent Orange, so he had a developmental disability as well. So yeah, I'm very familiar with that, with biological chemicals and whatnot.
And Joelle, I thought I remembered you saying that you had taken the anthrax shot.
Yeah, I had a whole series of those. I had 6 of those. If you was in the military, as a matter of fact, I didn't get the 7th one because that's when the 2 military officers at that particular time, that's when they, a lot of them got court-martialed and got held up in federal court. And then by the time they started the shots back, they had new rules and guidelines that if you was not going to deploy, and I had stopped deploying and stuff like that. I was later in my career, so I didn't take the 7th one. But I still have those shot records original shot records where I've had the anthrax shots, because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to develop something later on that
You were never though exposed to the anthrax itself?
No, the anthrax shots in itself, the shots that the military give was this was more or less like a vaccine, to keep you from, if you were exposed, to keep you from dying or succumbing to it. But it was big questions about the shots in itself and its safety, and there's still questions about it. So.
And did you know about the questions as you were taking the shots?
No, and Georgette can attest to this here. You might have questions about something, but you trust your leadership, and you just basically, stand in line and you take shots. You do what you're told. This is, hey, you got hundreds of thousands of other people that's doing it, and so, you just go ahead and do it. It's not. I can't hate to say, it's like you're sheeple, but hey, you don't have any rights in the military. Put it that way. If you don't understand, you just don't have rights in the military. I tell people all the time, you defend the Constitution, but you don't have any constitutional rights.
Yeah. I get it.
Hey, but the system needs to be that way, though.
Joel was speaking. Just give me a second. What did you say, Joel?
I said that the system, it has to be that way for the military, though. Sad to say, you got to have cats that say, when you say take that hill, that's what they do. They take the hill.
Yeah.
You just have to have leadership. You know, you have to vote people in that really, really use the military judiciously, the way it's supposed to be used.
Yeah.
So the same goes for my son, Jeffrey, who's a sergeant in the United States Marines and an embassy guard. So he went from country to country. So therefore, you're saying that he did take those anthrax shots
Oh
or those
yeah.
vaccinations.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, right now, I mean, you know, I don't know if the shots are unsafe or safe or whatever. I mean, you know, they're supposed to protect you from the anthrax. You know, if you don't have them, you know, you most definitely surely will die if you're exposed to anthrax. That's for sure.
And
But
so by him going from different countries, Japan, Egypt, Russia, whatever, he had to take those vaccination shots.
yes, ma'am.
Wow, I didn't know that as a mother. I'm very concerned.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say don't be concerned. You know, uh, I put it this way: if he doesn't have the shots and he's exposed to anthrax, he'll die.
I got it.
Yeah. So, you know, what they were concerned about when you had taken the anthrax shots at that particular time, the pharmaceuticals, they were, was it a safe vaccination? You know, it hadn't been FDA approved. And so what happened in the onset in the lawsuits from the officers that gave up their career, they saying, okay, you know, you can't be using the military as test guinea pigs. You know, this has to be safe for human beings, and so it just raised the light to make sure that the vaccine was safe for the military, and just not somebody that's sticking something out there on the market for us.
All
So
right, thank you for the information.
okay.
All right. Yes, thank you.